Well, over the weekend, a lot has gone down. A lot is going down currently, and a lot is about to go down this week. Welcome to Bitcoin's Week from Hell. Now, we have tariffs, we have trade wars, we have actual wars, we also have currency intervention, and we also have a Fed interest rate decision. Unpacking all of this, I have Narkundi and Crypto Daddy with me. This is the Baaps of Crypto podcast. Welcome back, and let's begin. वेलकम बैक एवरीवन आई वांट टू से हैप्पी मंडे बट नरकुंडी की शक्ल देख के आपको समझ आ ही गया होगा कि इतनी अच्छी खबरें नहीं है आज हमारे पास आपको
Best
हैप्पी
week,
मंडे बोलने
best.
के लिए या क्रिप्टो डैडी यू आर लुकिंग अ लिटिल हैप्पी आर योर ट्रेड्स वर्किंग आउट
And trades, yes, they're working out. Commodities are doing good. BTC, as predicted, is moving down. So, yeah, all in all, we are in good positions today.
नरकुंडी आई थिंक लाइक योर ट्रेड्स आर नॉट वर्किंग आउट
मैंने डाल दिया ट्रेड XRP 3 डिजिट्स में जा रहा है मुझे टिकटॉक पे आया था पोस्ट में वो देख के मैं बोल दिया बस जा रहा है ये
कब जा रहा है
ये नहीं पता मगर जा रहा है so I don't want to miss the boat.
Well, it's going to be at like what, $5-6 trillion market cap. It's going to be bigger than Saudi Aramco, bigger than Nvidia, of course.
बेस केस ये तो बोल रहा है 10 times उसका
Alright, let's see कि पहले बात तो आज क्या होने क्या वाला है राइट इस वीक की why are we saying कि Bitcoin's week from hell? So let me just share my screen. Can you see that? Can you see this? All right, these are the market moving events this week. Obviously, so Monday को 100% Canada पे tariff threat Donald Trump ने डाला. There's also a government shutdown deadline. Then Tuesday, you have the Jan consumer confidence data. Wednesday, you have the Fed interest rate decision along with the press conference. And New York Fed ने ये भी बताया कि there's a potential yen intervention in the works. Then Wednesday को you have all the Mag 7 earnings data, which is your Microsoft, Meta, Tesla, and Apple on Thursday. And then Friday को you have your December PPI data. और इस सब के ऊपर एक ईरान पे वॉर भी चल रही है उसका भी एक टेंशन चल रहा है सो या अ लॉट इज गोना हैपन दिस वीक गाइस आर यू वरीड लेट मी आस्क यू
बिल्कुल नहीं
क्रिप्टो डैडी
No, I don't think I'm worried. It's just you have to be better prepared. There's one more thing that's going to happen is 29th, 30th is the last weekend of the month. So you'll have options closing also on your CME. So that's going to be a major addition to the entire fiasco that we're looking at as well. So just be prepared, yeah. I mean, everything is in front of you. You have to take your trades accordingly. Trade the market that we have.
that's true ठीक है तो let's start with the first sort of news that is coming out obviously that is Canada and President Trump ने क्या किया कि basically पहले तो China and Canada were supposed to make a trade deal right and Mark Carney was in China and they meeting went well. They said कि we have a trade deal in the works. President Donald Trump was asked about it, and what he said was कि yeah, I'm happy for Canada, right? कि ये deal है अच्छा है उनके लिए. फिर he went to Davos and Mark Carney said something. तो मैंने एक easy करने के लिए थोड़ा एक इस पे already graphic बना दिया है. So let me share that with you. All right. So yes. So China Canada deal में क्या हुआ? So Canada ने बोला कि they're going to reduce tariffs on Chinese EVs from 100% to 6.1% for the first 49,000 units. ठीक है, both countries have agreed to strengthen their economic partnership and resolve trade issues. China reduces tariffs on Canadian agriculture products like lobster, crab, canola, pork, and beef. And the deal is like obviously months of planning ke baad and retaliatory tariffs ke baad. on steel, aluminium, EVs और agriculture के बाद ये इन्होंने करी है. So this was like just business as usual. So as such कोई threat नहीं था US को ये सब बोलने के लिए. But what happened was कि Mark Carney went to Davos, and over there his speech sort of focused on rupture in global order and a fading of the rules based system. And then he warned great powers using economic integration as weapons. And then he also called for like middle powers to act together and build coalitions. So all of this was क्या बोलते हैं, directed towards the US. And इस वजह से Trump obviously got pissed. And then after the initial positive comment, he was like कि फिर उसने उसे कार्नी को बोला कि गवर्नर कार्नी ने ऐसा सब बोला है. So what we'll do is like कि we will put 100% tariffs on them. And if China and Canada का trade deal होता है तो China will eat Canada alive, completely devour it. And then he's like, I'm warning Canada, being against a drop-off port for Chinese goods to the US. तो इसलिए मैं ये सब कर रहा हूँ. So all of this happened. So basically, what you could see was कि he didn't have a problem with the China Canada deal. What happened was कि मार्क कार्नी ने जो स्टेटमेंट बोला उसके ईगो पे लग गई, एंड फिर उसके बाद ये सब टैरिफ्स हुए. So this is one sort of uncertainty in the market that can majorly move the markets. आज अगर आप देखो तो BTC is right now above 88, below 88K, ETH is below 3K. And what has happened is like Canada is China's US's second largest trade partner, right, after Mexico, and if you don't count EU as a whole block. So that is going to affect supply chains, and that is going to move the markets. अभी markets एक डेढ़ घंटे में खुलेंगे तो मालूम पड़ेगा कि और कितना नीचे जाती है. So next iske baad, the other thing that is moving the markets is the Iran war. And I'm not going to lie to you, there's a lot of fear mongering happening. I don't know if you saw this crypto daddy, but like it's crazy the reporting that is happening, like especially on X. जब अगर मारियो नॉफल के अगर हम ट्वीट्स खोल के देखें, राइट, तो उसने आज के दिन में कितने ट्वीट्स डाले हैं. सो इफ यू सी लाइक Iran just banned general aviation flights for the next 3 months. Then there's this guy, Shanaka Anselm Pereira. I don't know if you guys follow him. Shipping insurance for Hormuz transits have just repriced to 300%. Crude oil carries a dollar war premium. Agar ye sab hoga, markets have gotten it all wrong. Sab apni apni analysis laga rahe hain. Then Mario Knopfel again, कि ये एक ड्रोन है यूएस का. This is patrolling Iranian airspace as tensions are in the region are heating up. और उसने पूरा लाइक मैप वैप डाला हुआ है कि ये सब हो रहा है. फिर उसके बाद ईरान से भी ऑब्वियसली पोस्टिंग चल रही है कि चाइना हैज सेंट लाइक 16 मिलिट्री कार्गो प्लेन्स इन जस्ट 3 days, एंड ईरान इज बाइंग अ लॉट ऑफ Chinese weapons. So then again, the USS Abraham Lincoln Strike Group has entered US Central Command, what is in the Indian Ocean. So placement चल गई है पूरी. So मैं बस देख रहा था कि क्या क्या US military assets हैं ईरान के around अभी, right? So if you see this, so these are all the military assets around Iran right now. If you see this highlighted region, this is the Strait of Hormuz. But just see the military assets like here. इन्होंने अपनी aircraft carriers और strike carriers यहाँ पे लगा के रखे हैं. Obviously, Lebanon, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, ये सब में US bases हैं. But all these Gulf countries have now said कि यार हमारे bases मत use करना, because this can sort of spark like a global war, right? It's become so heated. एक तरफ से China, Russia, Iran है, दूसरे साइड से ये सब country है जहाँ US bases, obviously there's Israel. So this has the potential to turn into a big conflict. Again, that is why you see like a lot of weakness in the markets कि बहुत uncertainty है, पता नहीं कि क्या होने वाला है. Crypto Daddy, what do you think?
इस पे यार आई ऑल्सो सॉ कपल ऑफ ट्वीट्स जहाँ पे वो ये दिखा रहे थे कि देवर यूएस जेट्स दैट वर टेकिंग ऑफ फ्रॉम आई थिंक कतार एंड सम ऑफ द अदर स्टेट्स एज वेल, यू नो, और वो भी न्यूज चल रही थी कि बिकॉज दे आर नॉट बेसिकली इन अलाइनमेंट विथ द अटैक ऑन ईरान एंड दे सॉर्ट ऑफ सेड कि यू नो वी गोना नॉट अलाउ आवर एयर स्पेस टू बी यूज्ड फॉर इट. So, और फिर ईरान ने भी उधर से धमकी दी थी कि you know if the attack does happen, then the first strikes that they're going to do is basically at the US bases in all of these Middle Eastern countries that we have. So I mean that also becomes very tricky. So वो अपनी तरफ से they are trying to push the war. Of course, they also don't want the war. They know it's not going to be an easy thing for them as well. So they are trying to push as well. अपने end से ही जितना push कर सकते हैं. And like you said, the fear mongering is there. अब तो वो लग रहा है कि Twitter पे everybody who's posting, right? It's more like views and engagement rather than pushing out real journalism out there. So let's see क्या होता है.
Yeah, it's not reporting.
Not. It's not.
Even the news outlets are just for views and clicks now, right?
Yeah,
उनके
उनको भी
उनका
तो
भी
एड्स के
मेजर,
पैसे बनाने हैं।
या तो आई डोंट नो कि उनको इतनी टीआरपी जितनी उनको अपने चैनल्स पे मिलती होगी उससे ज्यादा तो यूट्यूब पे मिल जाती होगी, ये सब डाल के, स्पेसिफिक वीडियोस डाल के और ये सब करके। एनीवेज सो
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these news channels have actually started putting like these YouTube shorts and stuff with choti, and basically they're getting engagement from them. Oh, well, yeah, it's वो पहले TRP होता था, now it's all about views and likes, and they're pushing for it. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and the interesting part is it also helps push the narrative of whoever wants to push it forward. तो आज के ज़माने में आपके पास पूरा US narrative है, Iran narrative अलग है, and you know the news channels, depending on where they are and how they operate, they are pushing their narrative that they want to be pushed out.
गॉट इट। ठीक है, चलो एक और इसमें एक खबर है कि आज यूएस गवर्नमेंट शटडाउन की भी 75% चांस है, विच पॉली मार्केट इज पे लोग बेट कर रहे हैं कि देयर इज अ 75% चांस ऑफ द यूएस गवर्नमेंट शटिंग डाउन। सो दैट इज आल्सो गोना हैव एन इम्पैक्ट बिकॉज ऑल ऑफ दीज things and every funding for all of these policies has to, then be put on hold. Even your crypto market structure bill will be put on hold, which I think again abhi to bank se chal raha hai uspe. But yeah, Nargundi yaar, obviously ये तो Washington और तेहरान का चलते ही रहता है, but there's like another big story which is the obviously Fed interest rate decision and the yen intervention, right? कि Bank of Japan तो कुछ करे नहीं करे येन को बचाने के लिए, येन वाज स्लाइडिंग डाउन ओवर द वीकेंड। फेड हैज सॉर्ट ऑफ अनाउंस्ड कि हम कुछ इंटरवेंशन कर सकते हैं, एंड देयर हैज बीन इन द पास्ट देयर इज precedence for this, right? So just take us a little bit in
Yeah,
detail.
so if you're following news, it's being called the Plaza Accord 2.0. Now, the reason why it's called 2.0 is because it's not the first time that it will happen. First time हुआ था 1985 में, where US and Western Europe countries, along with Japan, they met in, I think it's called Plaza Hotel in New York. That's why it's called that. They agreed to weaken the dollar because US exports were getting hurted. It was so strong कि rest of world में लोग बेच ही नहीं पा रहे थे. It was out of reach for international markets. So they agreed to weaken the dollar systematically through central bank intervention. Now, उसका cascade effect ये हो गया कि over next 2 years, dollar it decreased by 25%, and along with that, the yen that also became stronger at the same time period. Because of that, Japan had to reduce its own interest rates, and when they did that, Oloki stock market and everything, real estate, stock market, I think it doubled in 3 years in Japan. But after that, it had a crisis where next 10 years ke liye, it was completely flat. So that was what happened in Plaza Accord 1.0. This time what's happening is that Japan holds US Treasuries. And this one is still $1.1 trillion. Now, interest rates wise, if you look at Japanese yields for 10 years, it's at 2.2. US Treasuries is at 4.2. So what's been happening in the past is that people are borrowing in Japanese. They're paying the interest in Japanese yen and then investing it outside. Now, what might happen is that if there's a sell-off, because Japan itself is having an own inflation problem of its own, and a look a snap election bhi aa raha hai, which means the government has to show that it's working towards curtailing costs, making life easier for its citizens. So they are interested in this Plaza Accord 2.0, in which, again, it slows down the US Treasury sell-off, but again, it makes the dollar much weaker. Now, against all this, you mentioned about Fed, the interest rate decision, tariffs ka again, yes, no, it's another week in which we don't know if what will happen with that. So Fed has to balance two things now. One, on the surface, they're saying that we are looking at inflation rates and we might stay hawkish. But at the same time, they are being dovish and they're saying, okay, we'll make dollar cheaper. And they've also been buying treasuries. I think they're buying $40 billion a month. So for the Fed, it becomes like contradictory things that are happening in addition to all the macro events and war and everything that's happening. Now, if the dollar gets weaker, that's where I think people will start moving into other assets. And usually, what has happened is that when US dollar gets weakened against DXY, which is basket of six other currencies, Bitcoin does rally at that point because it just starts factoring in the decrease in value of fiat, and BTC rallies against it. Now, this time it's still different because you have Iran war, you have tariffs, so we don't know. But if that happens, it could be a positive sign that eventually BTC and crypto assets, at least the big ones, they could rally in the long term.
Yeah, एक चीज बता कि so on one side ki currency is weakening, like they will weaken the dollar and they will strengthen the yen, right? Now there is this whole effect of the yen carry trade as well. If the yen becomes too strong, then जितना ये जो yen carry trade unwind होने का खतरा है. So how is this
Mhm.
going to like factor in, and how is this going to play out? Because if the stock market, if the yen carry trade unwinds, then the stock market goes down. If the stock market goes down, we've seen BTC not behaving like digital gold. It's behaving like it's running more with the stock market, right? So doesn't that then make BTC crash again?
I think short term में it definitely like BTC and Nasdaq का काफी relation आ रहा है, correlation आ रहा है. So I think in short term, it does affect. Maybe in short term, I think like commodities could go up, gold could go up even further high. But eventually, I think when all these things start combining, I think it also means that people are moving away from fiat. So whether you agree that Bitcoin being digital gold is, if that narrative is not yet there today, maybe in slightly longer term future it could happen eventually.
Crypto Addy wanted to come in.
Yeah. So from my understanding, yeah, this is going to be a very tricky year, in all honesty. So we have this whole situation happening, right? And then you have this whole now, abhi Fed ne jo bataya कि you have the whole, they're going to buy the yen and sort of, reduce the dollar value, like could be explained, the Plaza Accord 2.0. In the longer run, if you see the 1985 Plaza Accord, right, in about I think 3 years, the dollar went down by 50%, right, and the yen sort of doubled in value. So the dollar to yen ratio, I think it was like 220 and it went down to like 120, something like that. So what happened was in the short term, of course, all the markets took a hit, right? Even that time. But in the longer term, it did. So your stock markets exploded, not just in Japan and in the US also, right? You had commodities moving up, you had all everything sort of the entire market sort of moved up. And then, of course, later on, the Japan trade went sideways, but US continued to build. But also, there was another factor in that time is that because it was 1985, early 1980s, 90s, you had the sort of dot-com boom building up, right? So you had that in the US economy that sort of pushed that economy to the stability and then sort of into a boom era, right? आज के ज़माने में you have another problem is so you have the Japan 2.0 or the Plaza Accord 2.0, let's suppose, coming into play. At the same time, if you look at BTC, now BTC is not as old as 1985, right? It's been there for like what, 10, 15 years, if you give or take. 2010 से अगर आज ले लेते हैं तो 15 साल 16 साल हो गए, right? And we've seen that BTC usually used to work in tandem with gold before. Now it's moved from there and sort of moved into in tandem with the stock market. Stock market moves up, BTC moves up, it goes down, BTC goes down. आज के ज़माने में if this whole situation happens again, right? We are assuming that people are going to, as the dollar devalues, gold prices are going to go high, commodity prices are going to go high, and people are going to move money into these sort of assets, right? What is the what is the surety that liquidity from gold will move into BTC? right? Because gold right now, silver right now are already outperforming BTC and ETH by great lengths, right? So one of the things that we need to keep in mind is why would individuals need to move their asset, their liquidity from gold or silver into crypto? What would make them, what would be that specific shift to make that liquidity move from these safer assets into a little more riskier assets, right? ये पिछले सालों में इसलिए हो जाता था because gold and silver were pretty much in a plateau phase, right? They were just pretty much standard, same price. See, they were not, there was not much moving. And today, if you move gold and silver out, now you, in commodities, you have the next big thing that's about to explode is copper, right? I've been saying this for a while, that in globally, copper is saying that it's going to be completely short in the market by, let's say, 2040, and it is one of those elements that is used in almost everything we use. You know, it's literally everything around us, and that is a commodity that looks like more promising than anything else. And so they have so many other things that you can invest. Why would people move liquidity from these safer assets into BTC or ETH, right? वो तभी होता है जब economy gets a little more stable, people have risk appetite, and people think that, okay, now I have this much invested in, let's say, bonds, this much invested in commodities. I can invest a small portion, or maybe let's say 35% of my portfolio into a little riskier asset. That is where BTC and ETH come into play. I don't see that sort of move happening anytime soon. It will happen, yes, but it's not going to happen like in the next couple of months. It'll take some time for us to come to that level where that liquidity sort of moves from all of these safer assets into a little riskier assets. So in the short term, we will see more downside on BTC. I know there are people who are saying, "Hey, bottom here, and this is probably the end of bear market, and we might see a move up, and all of this whole information is going, or the whole situation is going to move the BTC price up." I don't see that happening anytime soon. I think BTC is going to move sideways mostly, and when that liquidity move sort of starts to happen, when things start to stabilize, we will see that BTC push to new highs, but that should take certain time.
Yeah, you're right. Like कि एक और चीज मैं देख रहा था डावोस पे, जो बड़े बड़े इंस्टीट्यूशंस से जितने भी लोग आए थे बात कर रहे थे. So what they were saying is कि we are already right now positioned in metals. So that is a risk on asset, right? So if we want to like invest in something else, we'll go for a risk off assets. And उसमें जो है अभी US Treasuries और Japanese bonds, government bonds जो हैं, they are giving
Mhm.
like amazing returns right now. So why not like have a portion of your investments in these assets, because these are risk off assets. अच्छी yields मिल रही हैं अभी, so we can be positioned in metals and we can be positioned in these bonds and treasuries. So yeah, you're right. Like that is what even I have been hearing and what I've been seeing. बट नरकुंडी, तू किसको डुबाना चाहता है पहले तो ये बता दे. तो हम बोलेंगे कि ये चलेगा.
मैं अपने आप को डुबाना चाहता हूँ. नहीं, yeah, see, short term में volatility रहेगी. I mean, yeah, I agree. But see, like last cycles में BTC का drawdown कितना था? 60-70%. This
Yeah.
time so far 30% पे somehow it's hanging on to that. So I mean, like fine, 90s से 80s में आ गया है. I don't know, how all, because जो macro news आ रही है plus war tensions and all, oil price अगर Strait of Hormuz, if something happens there, inflation spikes, good luck, कि interest rate cuts नहीं होंगे. So all of those are, I think, beyond BTC's control right now. So if you want to position for the long term, it could be a good time कि भाई ले लो and stay quiet for a longer time. Like, again, I don't want to think in weeks or months. Maybe for long term, like, eventually if digital gold narrative starts playing out, it's like, okay, it's much easier to hold on to that gold, then it should move forward. But yeah, short term, it's, if you're taking a good position size, it could go either way. We don't know.
So like मैं मेरे हिसाब से तो obviously I want to stay positive and I am positive. But yeah, जो ट्रिपल डिजिट XRP वाले पोस्टर्स हैं, they are obviously wrong.
वो
And
अपनी दुनिया उनकी।
yeah, वो अपनी दुनिया में, but the thing is कि we again topped this cycle on apathy and not euphoria, and there was no retail interest. So that, begs to sort of come, that sort of makes this thing ki jab drawdown bhi aayega, it won't be that deep, it won't be like 60-70%, it might be just like 40-50%, which just takes it to what, 60K, 65K at max. अभी भी like जो लोग निकाल रहे हैं इस पे analysis, and some of the people that we follow, they are also at maximum at like what, 70-72K का उनका है बॉटम ऑन BTC. ईद का तो मैंने क्रिप्टो आईडी को दे ही दिया है कि उसको कहाँ पे 10x
जबान दे
लगाना
दिया
है.
है।
या जबान दे दी है मैंने उसको ईद के बॉटम पे. सो
No,
या
but
आई
yes,
मीन that.
is without factoring in like what happens if there's a regional escalation, what happens if there's a regional war and all. Like yes, all these like time series के हिसाब से you do analysis, like yes, it looks very straight and like ये pattern बन गया, but जो चल रहा है in the bigger term, you know, war ये सब से related, I don't know. It could even go lower.
Yeah, इसमें ना, so you have to understand when things like war or like really uncertain events, right? And even war right now, I wouldn't call it uncertain. It's pretty much everybody knows, right? This is going to happen, right? Even people are sort of prepared for something like this. And in such cases, when BTC does take a hit, it wicks, right? It doesn't stay down. It wicks for a certain period of time and it comes back. So we don't, and in longer period of time, we don't consider those wicks as a drawdown, right? अगर वो 70 पे है या 72 पे है, वहां से नीचे 70 60, let's say 65 को wick करके within a day or two it comes back to 70 72, you don't consider that as a drawdown, right? You will consider that 72 70 was the actual value that BTC actually went in, right? Because those wicks are those based on certain events के वो कोई एक दिन कुछ ऐसा हो गया जिसकी वजह से उसने wick मार दिया, like the 10th of August, 10th of October we had, right? A day wick that BTC sort of crashed, killed everything, went back up like nothing happened, right? And the other thing that I wanted to say is कि one of the things जब retail का euphoria की बात करते हैं, and this is my assumption, I don't know how much it's true, but also in the last whole year, where psychologically we were thinking that we are in a bull market, right? BTC has been going up over and over, throughout every 3 or 4 months, थोड़ा high मारता गया. At the same time, alts have been devastatedly dying, right? And people were more positioned in alts at that point in time, leave BTC and either one. And people have lost a lot of money during that entire last year, 2 years. People have lost quite a lot of money. Today, आपकी retail market के पास पैसा है ही नहीं लगाने को. मेरे हिसाब से, right? They have literally burned their hands down. They also need to go into a more stable situation, right? So the economy needs to be better. People have to have some sort of savings, some sort of side amount that they could again reinvest into crypto, let's say a riskier asset. So I think that will align with the sort of timelines that we're looking at when BTC starts to move in, when the global liquidity starts to come into crypto. BTC, the retail liquidity will sort of flow around the same time, and which is why the next time we see BTC moving towards highs, we'll see much higher highs. So it's not just okay, it's just going to go up slightly or how it's going to create a new all-time high. That parabolic boom that we were expecting, the mega bull run that we were expecting on BTC is not going to no, but it will happen. It's going to happen the next session that BTC starts moving up.
So यानी I would like agree with you on a lot of things, but एक तो है कि जो तू retail की जो तू बात कर रहा है, right? Those are now crypto native people, and those guys are losing $1 billion like trading leverage. अभी भी like वो $1 billion आ रहे हैं, 182,000 traders got wiped out अभी इतने दिन में. So and $1 billion वापस से आ गए सिस्टम में, वो भी उड़ गए पूरे. So those people are तो getting money from somewhere. I don't know where they are getting money from, but they're getting from somewhere. The retail people, like what I'm saying is like your normies, right? पिछले ये जो है, ये retail की जो तू बात कर रहा है, they were normies in the last cycle and who've become crypto native people now. जो normies हैं अभी, जो लोग Google पे सर्च करते हैं यार Bitcoin में क्या हुआ, या your aunts and your uncles and your relatives or your cousins who call कि यार Bitcoin में पैसे लगाने चाहिए, those people have still not come. They have no interest in coming. They are all positioned in like bonds and mutual funds and क्या बोलते हैं कि ये stock blue chip stocks. So yeah, Crypto Daddy wanted to say something.
That retail, if you look at it very closely, that retail today is sitting in gold and silver. That retail has moved completely to gold and silver. Like today, when I'm sitting in a group of people, 6 months ago, this was not a discussion that we were having. But today, when we are talking, people are like, yeah, I bought silver at $30 and in October, or I bought silver at $40, or I bought gold at $3,000. My aunts and, those aunts and uncles that you're talking about today, they are all talking about putting money in gold and silver. And they have the same euphoric sentiment. कि यार, आज silver 100 पे है, इसको 250 जाना है, I'm going to buy more silver. That sort of sentiment is in commodities right now. It's not in crypto, but that's what I'm saying. That liquidity will move from these commodities into crypto, but it's going to take time. It's not going to happen now. So gold and silver has to sort of top out, start taking a hit, and that's where we're going to start seeing the movement happen.
So एक और चीज़ है, लास्ट 1 year में I was just checking the BTC का ETF. 1 year में peak था, assets under management was 160 billion. It's now at 120 billion. So 25% वहाँ से भी खिंच चुका है money. And yeah, if you ask like, where's that money gone? It's gone into either tech, it's gone into gold, अब silver हो गया, and I don't know, copper, अब क्या?
Yeah, so everyone, all the retail people जिनकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, they are all like कि I told you so, कि देखा क्रिप्टो में कुछ नहीं होने वाला था, it was ऐसी हवा था, that is what they're saying.
निकले.
Yes, and they're all in like gold and silver. But again, the thing is that कि तू अगर silver में भी देखे, right, कि you are right, the euphoria in silver is कि if you go and comment below some person who's bought silver or who's trading silver और नीचे जाके तू लिखे कि नहीं यार सिल्वर का तो हो गया, ये रैली टॉप आउट हो गई, you see the kind of abuses that you get. जैसे पहले ऑल्ट्स पे मिलते थे, like तूने को ऑल्ट कॉइन को बोल दिया तो लोग आके तेरे को गाली बक रहे हैं. It's become like that for silver right now. So it is a euphoric. So one more thing that we have to talk about that's going to move the markets is the Mag 7 earnings data, right? You have your Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Meta का. So उस पे क्या लगता है देखो नरकुंडी, and obviously let's start with you नरकुंडी, की क्या रिपोर्ट्स आने वाली है, उनकी कैसी earnings आने वाली है, are they gonna hit or are they gonna miss, and then उसका markets पे कितना असर होगा?
I haven't studied this in detail, but obviously if they miss, then Nasdaq takes immediate hit. If that happens, then again BTC and Nasdaq a काफी strong correlation hai now. I mean, it's considered like a tech play. So yeah, if any of them miss, which will give rise to fears कि okay, AI का overvaluation चल रहा है, OpenAI is obviously fighting against they losing users. So if the revenues don't match, I think even if it misses by a decimal place of analyst earnings, you see a decrease in stock prices on those days. So yeah, it could be on either side.
Crypto Daddy.
Yeah, so I don't see them missing their earnings. I think it's extremely vital for them to keep it positive, because if they do miss their earning, it's not just going to be a blip in the in the Nasdaq or anything. It's going to be devastating. Today, the entire market is basically being strung up by that one single string, and if they miss their earnings, that's really bad for the market. So I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think they will let it happen. Let's just say it that way. They are going to prolong it as long as they can. वो earnings को positive ही show करेंगे. We all know that these earnings are all fabricated. वो इधर से पैसा move करके दूसरे उधर कर रहे हैं, and they're going to continue doing that. That's what I believe.
ठीक है. If you guys have any other news that you think can move the markets, please do share. Otherwise, please like. Oh, one more thing. Crypto Daddy has something else. Please go ahead, Crypto Daddy.
So yeah, one more news that I saw was, I don't know if you guys have seen it, is that there is a new virus that was found in India, the Nipah virus, right? And and I don't know why it is giving me a very early COVID vibes. I mean, with the way the world is going, I wouldn't be surprised, because they are basically talking, okay, it's probably going to, if it's not controlled, within a month they're going to reach into an epidemic level. So it's crazy. And I mean, the timing is just absolutely perfect. Right when the world is going to shit, they come up with one more thing. So, and if that happens, then yes, you have some excellent buying opportunities coming in the future for you.
जनरेशनल बॉटम सारे एसेट्स में.
Oh yeah, ठीक है यानी
ऑल्ट्स में ऑल्ट्स में क्या होगा ऑल्ट्स पे?
या सो आई मीन हो सकता है कि थोड़ा बहुत रियल एस्टेट भी क्रैश कर जाए एंड सो दिस विल दिस if suppose this happens, right, if suppose a covid 2.0 happens and the market crashes, no one will have any money to buy. What will they buy with? All the retail traders are broke right now. The leverage में उड़ गए, इसमें उड़ गए, तो खरीदेंगे किससे? मतलब कि there is no generational buying opportunity for them.
जिसमें
That is why I'm
हिम्मत है वो
saying कि थोड़ा
बनाएगा.
पैसा बचा के रखो, because you will get that generational buy opportunity soon.
हाँ, I'm going to put my $30 per day on hold then. बन गए पैसे उससे तो मेरे 30 का 60 हो जाएगा.
All right. All right. Please like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments for Narkundi. Or also tell us how the Narkundi indicator is performing. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. See you guys.
Bye.